Johnny Wharff, along with Hall of Famer Rick Newsome, class of 1971, going into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame October the 21st here in Marietta. And first of all, Rick, congratulations, and maybe for our listeners, just give us a quick update on where you are and what you're into right now.
Thanks, John. I am privileged to be a part of this class, but also to have this interview with you. I am currently in the Columbus, Ohio area. My wife and I have been in this area since actually coming out of the National Football League. So we've been a long time in Columbus, and have been just honored to be in positions here that would honor, I think, those who have sowed into my life way back when.
Yeah, so and I, going into the class with you, it has to feel really good to see Bill Boner, and I spoke to him very recently. Just a great interview from a great guy who has just so many good memories here.
Coach Boner, I have a lot of memories, but, it's a funny thing. We had some just great years there in athletics with him. But the strange thing is I remember him being my driver's ed coach, and he was brutal. But I think he helped us learn how to drive. So it's funny the memories you have, way back when. Every time I see him, I saw him a couple of years ago, and I got to tell him that story again, and he laughed. But he really formed a great tradition there, and of course it's really all that I knew. And I remember being down there under the stadium, actually, as a young person, and thinking, these giants running out of this tunnel, I can't believe how big these guys are, and then to realize one day I would run out of that same tunnel. So there's so many memories, it's even hard to capture them. But Bill was a consistent coach that put all of us in the positions that, as best we knew, could help the team along.
I watched those big guys run out of the tunnel as well, and I never got to myself, but I did get to sit up above and describe it, which is something pretty special on my end as well. Rick Newsome is our guest, a class of 1971, Marietta High School, going into the Athletic Hall of Fame. And if we look at that seat in the driver's ed car, or we look back that far and setting a foundation, Rick, maybe there are just a few things that even, if you're in the NFL or even now, that you look back on that something happened in high school that you still learned from, good, bad, or indifferent, that, allowed you to grow.
I've reflected on that a lot, John, through the years. And one of the things that I would say is we all need coached, every one of us. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't think we do. And that starts with parenting, and I had just great parents that coached me, that were also, and I don't mean in the sense of necessarily athletics, but they supported, they came and were part of that. And then I did not start football until the middle school years. So there were coaches there that took a guy who didn't even know anything about football. So by the time I'm in my junior and senior year, it was an amazing thing. But I look back and say coaches, and teachers that instilled in me not only the qualities necessary to play football, but also just the disciplines that it takes to make an academic run at college and all of that. So it's just so much of that. And the second thing that's on my mind, John, is the unknown players. On every team, there are those who don't get the limelight. They are there through every practice. They stand on the sidelines many times hoping they would get in. And those men, whether it's high school, college, or professional ranks, to me are the ones that are truly the heroes that do hard work behind the scenes and never get the glory, but as we know, a team is made up of a whole lot of no-name people that make it possible for a few people to excel. And I hope that in some way I honored them then, but I certainly want to honor them now.
That's a fantastic thought. And then if you look back and think about the game of football, and because of it, where Rick Newsome landed or who he met or where he got to travel to, it's pretty far-reaching, isn't it?
Unlike today, and I may be overstating this, but unlike today, John, athletes come out with a great expectation that they're going to go to college and play football or they're going to go on to the pros. I never had that, maybe because I started so late in football, but I was literally shocked when I learned that actually people wanted to recruit me and to have me play and actually to be able to get my degree through that opportunity. And, of course, I was honored to go to the University of Kentucky, and it was a great experience in the Southeastern Conference. That's where I met my wife. That was a place where God just really worked in my life through that time that, again, had been coached into me when I was a kid, but had never really come to a point where I understood the difference between a religion and a relationship. So from there, to know, wait a minute, I'm actually going to be drafted. I'm actually going to be in the NFL and have that platform and to have that opportunity. I remember a time, John, when I was in high school, and we had gone down to Xavier, I believe, for a basketball clinic. And I remember going to, I believe it was the Sun that used to play there, the professional team. I may be wrong in that. But there was a player that came up to me or was coming out, and I just asked for an autograph. And I mean, totally ignored me. And those kinds of experiences set in me, I hope I will never do that, but never thinking that I would actually play college ball or play professional ball, but that stuck with me. That sting of rejection stuck with me through the years. And so I wanted to honor those who would literally, why would they want my autograph? But I still remember that and am grateful for that lesson. So there's just a few. I
always step into these with the expectations of I'm asking for 5 minutes of your time, and I tend to, and my listeners know this, but I'll tend to go over 2 more questions, and I appreciate you allowing me to find out a little bit more than I know about Rick Newsome. But I have to ask about where you were, and if you were surprised that people wanted you, and where you were when the LA Rams called and said, "Hey, come to LA, we want you on the Rams."
I was sitting in my apartment with my wife. It was a long day, but I got a call from the administrator, the GM, Klosterman, and he just told me, "Hey, congratulations, we drafted you." And it was the farthest thing out of my mind that I actually would go to then, the LA Rams, and now the LA Rams, that I would actually go out there and play. And so it was shocking, and just waiting for that call on that draft day. And I remember it very well, Tammy and I being home all day. So it went in the 5th round, so it took a while. But it was a great joy.
There's a fabulous book that I try to read once a year called The Alchemist, and it talks about a young boy's journey and the things that happen to him along the way and where he ends up where he is. And it's a very faith-filled book. And I wonder if you said it was probably Kentucky where you really put the difference between religion and relationships. And was faith a part of the NFL? I mean, were there prayer groups, and how did you stay connected, I guess, in that line?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was anchored, even in the NFL, through a local church. That was where the anchor was. But I can tell you, we had some great chaplains that were with the Rams and the Packers. I attended those, not only the chapels, but we had small group studies, Bible studies outside of that really were important when you're traveling and all those different things. But the Bible studies themselves was not just for the players; it was for their wives as well. So there was a core spiritual movement in the NFL, and I believe there is today as well. But how important is that for guys who are making more money than most, are pumped up all their life that they're somebodies, and when the moment comes that you're cut, traded, whatever will happen if you're in there long enough, and if you don't have the core foundation, and I guess, John, it's true even no matter what career or position you're in, a marriage that's failing, if you don't have the core of how God created you for something greater than all of this, then it would be devastating. But by God's grace, those were the things that changed my life.
Thank you so much for that, Rick, and thank you for sharing time with us and our listeners. And Rick Newsome will be going into the 2017 class of the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And to us here from WMOA Radio, congratulations.
Thanks, John. My privilege.